right. Listen. You gotta put masks on everything, okay? You gotta put masks on everything. You gotta distance yourself. You gotta keep the distance, and everything will be fine, okay? That's why I can't write anymore because you gotta maintain that distance, and that's it. Now, uh, this is a special book. This is Jack London's Martin Eden. Now, I haven't really found a online review on this about on YouTube about this book. Right? Obviously, we've all read some Jack London, some of his most famous work. Listen, I've read my fair share of Jack London. He's all right. Some of his books are great. Some of others are just you know they're books. Let's just say they're books, but they don't impress me anyway in any way, shape, or form. But let me tell you about this book. Why you should read this book because it is superb. Let me tell you why it is superb. The story, it is all right. Nothing special. We got this guy. He is illiterate. He is poor. But he falls in love with this woman that is of a higher class. All right. She's above him in the social hierarchy. Right. So you got the classic cliche situation where, you know, he is told, listen, bro, you cannot possibly pursue her because, you're the lowest of the low. The classic F. Scott Fitzgerald scenario where poor boys don't marry rich girls. So this guy, he's an ignoramus almost. He is absolutely, uh, he's not that smart, right? But he's so determined to grab her attention that he goes through this journey of reading and reading and reading and just thinking. And after he reads and uses his brain, he starts writing. He starts developing his own ideas, and he becomes a writer. And slowly but surely, um, he gets noticed. People start to notice this guy. This guy, he's something. He has something special. His mind works differently, and in the end, he becomes famous. He becomes respected. He ascends to a higher class, right? And let me tell you why this book is so special. Because when he reaches that status with his own talent, right? His personal resources get him out of the pits. He gets wealthy, he gets respect, he gets whatever, right? But something happens. His thinking, his philosophy, his ideology start to elevate. They start to change. They go in different directions. And he realizes that the woman he did all of this for, she finally comes to him, and she, just flat out tells him, "Listen, you're somebody now. Let's be together." Right? She says something like that, but he realizes that, this person for which he was almost simping, basically, he was a simp, a beta cuck, basically. But now he uses his brain, and he realizes that this person, which he just saw as perfect and above him, he realizes that she is, after you strip away the disguise of, this high society, the clothing, the jewelry, the status, he realizes that she's a dummy, basically. She's a dummy, and he doesn't find her interesting anymore. There's no romance, no excitement. No, he's not interested in her anymore because he realizes that what he was chasing was an illusion. He had this image of her, right? But then he arrived at that same level, and he realized most of these people that he thought were so above him, they're not that special. They just have the money. If you take that away from them, they're just like anybody else. And most of them, they're dumber than a sack of bricks, basically. Right? And this is what makes this book so special. Listen, you gotta read this book because the last 100 pages of this are soul crushing. This is Jack London at his best. This is high quality. The last 100 pages of this are soul crushing. They are devastating. They are depressing as fuck. Because this protagonist, Martin Eden, now he can use his mind. He can think. He has awareness. And he slowly but surely realizes that, listen, having wealth is fine, but it doesn't make him happy. Having this fame, this reputation, this respect from strangers, they're all right, but they don't make him happy. And worst of all, the person that he thought he loved turned out to be a mirage, right? So he leaves. He goes on a ship, and he leaves, and he just keeps on thinking about this. And he, in the end, during these last 100 pages, he comes to the conclusion that nothing will ever make him happy, that nothing will ever intrigue him, that all of these things that we chase, wealth, money, reputation, respect, women, whatever, right? They don't satisfy him. Because he realizes that everything, all of these things are illusions. They aren't worth anything, you know. And he concludes that there's nothing worth living for. That if you strip down mankind, both individually and collectively, we are a failing species. And he views, in a way, he views mankind as a sort of, repulsive spectacle. And he doesn't want to be a part of this anymore. And this is, he in a way becomes a nihilist, a true nihilist, where he says, nothing really interests me and nothing really has any worth. Nothing. They're all delusions of grandeur. They are all distractions. And this is a spoiler. Okay, now listen, this is a spoiler, but this is important because this is a true shocker. Because these last 100 pages they are devastating, because he makes a complete a complete turn from this. He's at the beginning, he's not that smart, he's not awake, but he is a happy person. He is naive, but he finds happiness in life, in these little things in life. But in these last 100 pages, he just completely feels nothing but despair. All right, despair, because he understands now that he has this intelligence, that all of those things, they're not gonna have that same effect, because he has matured, he has grown up. He is no longer an ignoramus. He is no longer gullible. And he jumps out of the window of the boat, and he commits suicide by drowning, and he goes willingly. Listen, the last couple of pages of this are just they are tough, boy. They are tough. All right, this is phenomenal writing. This is phenomenal. This is, to me. Listen, to me, I've read my fair share of Jack London. To me, this is his best book. Okay, to me, this is his best book because of those last 100 pages, and you have to read this. You have to read this because it is the development at the end. It's just you don't suspect it, you don't anticipate it. It just you read page after page and you slowly realize, along with the character Martin, you realize alongside him what's gonna happen, what the end is gonna be, and it is wow, it is something else. You don't come across something like this very often. Listen, you gotta pick up this book. All right, it is. I've read it. I don't know how many years ago, but it stayed with me. It stayed with me because this guy willingly decides that life isn't worth living, and he just goes with it, and he jumps in the water, and that's it. It's darkness, cold darkness. Yikes, yikes. And this is probably. Listen, the more you read, the more you use your mind and the more you um, research various philosophies and ideas and ways of thinking, you might arrive at the same conclusion. I don't enjoy the things that I used to enjoy when I was younger, when I was naive, and that's why I can relate to this book and to this character, Martin Eden, because, in a way it is the same journey in a way. you know it is. What else is there to say? Read this book. This is a great book. I warmly recommend it. It is a delight and anguish to read this book, and you should pick it up. It is almost in a way one of a kind because of the development at the end. Read better books. They can change you in a way that you cannot imagine. Even more than, talking to somebody. Even more than encountering a person and just having a talk with them. The people, most of the people in my life, they don't really have an effect on me, but these books, the books that have stayed with me, they stayed with me because they affected me, because they've changed me for the better or for the worst in some cases, but they've changed me. They affected me more than real people. And that's the power of books. They can they can even force your mind to concentrate on ideas or feelings that you maybe didn't want to focus on. And that is the power of books. Please read more books. They are a delight. Keep on reading.